Ahoy, mateys! Welcome aboard the Shallows, the pond designed specifically for all you 10-team and smaller league managers out there. I'm your captain, Eric Henriksen, alongside, almost said first mate, it's chief mate Carson Picard. Carson, how are the C's faring today?
I have no idea how good my fantasy teams are, Eric. I don't know if we're really buying. I don't know if we're selling. I don't know what's happening. It's an interesting time of year. I think I got like some pitchers I love, some pitchers I don't, and a whole bunch of I don't know with my lineups.
Yeah, it is. We're getting to that point in the season where you're gonna have to start deciding: are you a buyer? Are you a seller? And it's okay if you're not there yet. We still have a little bit of time before most fantasy trade deadlines. We certainly have some time before the actual baseball trade deadline. So it's okay. Keep evaluating. Don't fret too much. I've got teams on both ends of the spectrum. I'm doing really well in some, and another I'm doing very poorly. But I just won 12-0 last week in that poor league. So
there you go.
Let's ramp it up real fast here. Let's climb back into things real quick. All right, on today's show, we've got the captain's report. We've got the return from the crew. We have a few questions from listeners out there who so graciously submitted their inquiries, and we are going to answer them. And then we've got, I think it's the debut. I'm not sure. I wrote it in the show Bible that we have as a possible segment. It's called Let's Go Fishing, Pitching Edition. Well, actually, Bullpen Edition, where we're going to examine some under-rostered relievers who may be able to help your teams in the save category. Saves plus holds is just a mess. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. So we're just going to concentrate on saves here. But before we officially leave port, we release a new episode every Friday. The audio version releases at 7 a.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcast, and the video version premieres on YouTube the same night at 8 p.m. Eastern as well. If you want to see our beautiful made-for-radio mug, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a 5-star rating, like a thumbs up, a kind review, and don't forget, we're part of the Pitcher List Podcast Network, so check out the other pods we have available. There are new episodes out daily, and visit pitcherlist.com for all the latest and greatest content published as well. Carson, you working on anything for the site these days?
That is such a conceptual, theoretically I am. It's I've got ideas kicking around, but we're working on them.
It's theory. Look, you're a part of the Going Deep team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
right?
That's right.
So when you go deep, you can't be in the shallows. So just remember that. Yeah. So when we come back, it'll be the captain's report. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Shallows. That's Carson Picard. I'm Eric Henriksen, and this is your captain's report for the week. First up, we've got a bunch of injuries and a bunch of returns. So some good news from all the bad news we had in April, and maybe some bad news starting for the next portion of the season. Let's start off with some bad news here. JRam, Jose Ramirez, out 5 to 7 weeks with hamate bone surgery. Put it on the board. Another hamate bone injury. Carson, hard to replace a first-round pick, a top 5 pick in many drafts in Jose Ramirez. Are there any players that you're looking at specifically that might be a good fit?
Yeah, on the third base side, it's always so tricky. I mean, this is one where you may want to look at who's been performing really well in certain. I think like a name that's coming to mind is like Blaze Alexander for the Orioles. I think he's done really well recently. And I've just. It's tricky at this stage of who you're going to pick up, who's available. I know you have listed a couple names on here. Royce Lewis has done really well since coming back from the IL. He would be a name to throw into consideration. I'm blanking on his name. Jordan Lawler. Thank you.
Jordan Lawler. Yep.
Is returned from the IL. Has been all right since coming back. Certainly in the stolen base department. Another guy I think that's in there, but those are some guys, although third base, like we've talked about all season, a little tricky to find some talent there.
Yeah, third base, I think, has been far worse than second base has turned out to be, because second base has at least gotten a few players with the eligibility, including some high-end options like Fernando Tatis Jr., but third base has not been so lucky. I think the only player that I can think of off the top of my head that's returned quite good value all season that got third base eligibility is Sal Stewart.
And
and
even
that's
he
it.
has kind of slipped down a little bit in the last month and a half or so.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, third base is rough. Zach Geloff is another name that I put down just because he is hot right now. He's cut a strikeout rate. I know a lot of his stats currently are inflated by that joke of a series in Las Vegas. So I don't know. If you need somebody, maybe third base, maybe you just go with the hot bat. You stream the position. Whoever's got good matchups, who's in cores. I don't know.
Yeah, right. And I don't know, maybe another name is just it's, if nothing else, really steady production. Nolan Arenado has been fine.
Yeah.
He's been totally fine. I mean, like I said, or like we've said, really, it's a weird position, but Arenado has been put in pen in the lineup every day. And sometimes if you're just trying to get counting stats and keep the boat afloat, so to speak,
nice.
that works.
Nice. I like that. I'll say this about third base and Jose Ramirez. You're not going to find somebody out there on the waiver wire that's going to even come close to the production. You might find better batting average. He's struggled in the batting average department this year. He's run a ton, just 10 homers. But as I was kind of biding my time to remember this little thing, when he had the hamate fracture in the other hand a few years ago, he was back in 4 weeks and he suffered 0 power issues. So we literally have this exact injury with this exact player not too long ago. So I think that's a really interesting wrinkle here. Not many players will fracture both hamate bones. He is a switch hitter, so that's what happened. All right, moving on. Tarik Skubal returned. Some good news there for you. Carson, did you see anything in his start that gets you excited or has you concerned?
Yeah, the velocity was there. I mean, he was sitting 98 on the fastball. I think that's the big concern you have. Everything else with Skubal, he is the guy that I've seen the analysis of, and I think I do agree with it, that he's not a very command-heavy pitcher. He very much chucks a high fastball, and it is very difficult to hit, and then he has a very gnarly changeup that is going to tunnel really well and collect the whiffs, right? That's Skubal's MO. He's just got basically 3 really gnarly pitches that he throws at high velocity, and he throws all the time. For Skubal, he has come back with his velocity. Everything else should follow in suit. I think maybe any command issues, I don't think you pay too much attention to in the first, maybe even 2 starts. If things really persist, you got hit around a little bit, nothing crazy. But for me, that was the big concern. He looks fine.
Yeah, kind of crazy still. I can't get over the fact that 38 days after elbow surgery is just
that's pretty.
Yeah, and to have the velocity, it's not like he's still building up the velocity. He has it. It didn't go anywhere. That's pretty wild. But yeah, I think of an encouraging start in his first start back. You can't take anything from his one minor league rehab start and then compare it to his major league start, because that minor league start was against some poor kids down at A-ball. So
yeah.
All right. Cal Raleigh also returned. The dumper is back after absolutely murdering, for lack of a better term, murdering his rehab assignment. He had 5 home runs. I think he had 7 hits in his 1 week of rehab assignment. An OPS over 2,000. You never see that. You excited that the dumper is back? What are you expecting rest of season?
Well, it's weird, right? Because he was, I don't want to say, he was pretty bad. He was really bad the first month and a half. And I don't know really what to expect. I think you're expecting above average production offensively. How many home runs? Well, here's one. I'll turn this back on you. How many home runs rest of the season, assuming health? How many home runs do we think Cal Raleigh hits?
Whatever a 45 homer pace would be rest of the season. So we're about halfway through. So like 22, 21.
I would say that's kind of where I'm at. I think like about 20. I think you're a little under, but I think about 20 home runs is kind of what I'm anticipating rest of the year. Which, that's
from the
good.
Catcher position.
It's well, I mean, that's good, but that is really underwhelming coming from 60, even with an injury shortened thing. Yeah, this last couple games, he's gotten a couple knocks, couple walks. Nice.
Yeah.
We'll see when that power stroke comes back. That's just waiting on it.
Yeah, I think if you're going to homer 5 times in a week at AAA, I'll give you a little bit of a pass not homering immediately when you come back.
Sure, although I mean, homering in Pacific Coast stadiums is going to be a bit different than homering in T-Mobile.
That's fair. That's fair. But Raleigh, I don't think has had much of a problem homering at home. Speaking of, yeah, he hasn't. Some other players have. We have a performance to talk about that happened at T-Mobile last night in just a little bit, but we'll get there in a second. But first, another pitcher, kind of on the verge of returning already. 2 weeks into an 8-week timeline, Eury Perez is scheduled to start a rehab assignment. Carson, how do you go from 8 weeks to like 3?
One of the things that I think is interesting with younger players, especially, is how long it takes them to recover. And I generally err on the side of if the player is feeling well, they are probably doing well. Everyone is really competitive and wants to get right back out there, but the player will let you know if they can't. This when we just saw this with Skubal, right? I mean, he comes back after like 4 weeks and he's fine or seemingly fine. With Eury, sure. I mean, we'll see how it goes. This might be, and this could be a 2-inning, like just use them at live batters. Rehab starts go for 30 days. So this could be a very elongated process. Or maybe we'll see him back in the Marlins uniform in a handful of days here.
Are you worried at all that this may be rushed?
I don't think I'm that worried. I really don't. That's the kind of thing where it's like, well, I don't know.
I'm kind of happy, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he seemed to turn the corner in his 2 starts prior to getting hurt. So,
he was looking really good.
Yeah, it looked like he had finally figured some things out. On a similar note to Eury's injury, because remember they were saying it was like some sort of like cramp, like leg cramp that he had, and then if there was this like really weird diagnosis and out 8 weeks or whatever. Julio Rodriguez had a similar thing happen yesterday. He was removed. We're recording this on Thursday, June 18th. So he was removed Wednesday, June 17th, with hamstring spasms. I think he's being sent for imaging, but this is a very similar thing to me in how it's happening, like what happened with Eury. Just seemed to be cramps, spasms, and then injured list. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Julio.
Yeah. It's baseball. Anyone that's ever been a baseball fan and paid attention knows, oh yeah, he's just out, little strain. You're a Yankee fan. You know this as well as anyone. Giancarlo Stanton Boone says one thing about him.
Stanton re-injured his hamstring. I don't think we're going to see Stanton anytime soon, which gives Jason Dominguez a pretty long runway here to be a productive player. If you're somewhat in need of an outfielder or utility bat and you play in the deepest shallow leagues that I've ever seen, Dominguez may be worth a look there. Another pitcher set to return early next week, Shane Bieber, coming back from a forearm strain that he suffered in last year's playoff run.
Yeah.
Carson, any interest in adding Shane Bieber?
I really don't. I think Bieber is a guy who operated on subpar velocity and tremendous command and control of spin. And this is now a 5-year-old story, but I feel like Shane Bieber is a sticky stuff victim.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. I think that was definitely a guy that he lost some of that, and some of that top level effectiveness has gone down. Now there's a couple things. He's a bit older. The velocity has gone down. There's been some bumps along the road, but this is a guy that won the Cy Young in 2020, an abbreviated season, but nevertheless. And Shane Bieber, I think, is a has-been name to be kind of blunt about it. I don't think he is he's really worthy for shallow league rosters.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. How old do you think Shane Bieber is, though? Just
I know he's
asking the audience, answer, and you too, Carson, answer this question before I reveal this. Don't look it up.
I
But
know
just
he's not that old.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised at Shane Bieber's age.
Is he like 32?
Close. He's 31.
Yeah, he's
Right?
young. I know.
He's been around forever, though. I will say this, and it would be great to maybe talk to Nick about this here at Pitcher List. Guys with this specific motion, this arm motion that he has, Bieber and Giolito are kind of like the poster childs for this. They kind of bring the ball back here like a catcher, and they throw from here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like it at all. And if you look at all of the players who throw that way, they lose velocity very quickly, and they have a lot of arm injuries.
Burns kind of does that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, who was losing velocity? Chase Burns, Corbin Burns. I'm just saying, it's not. I don't like this. I don't like it at all, and I think it hurts potential of longevity.
Yeah, right. That kind of back here, almost like a football kind of
football. Yeah. Catchers are taught to bring the ball here because it's a really quick release. I just don't like the catchers aren't throwing 100 pitches. They're throwing down a second base like that, maybe 4 times in a game. Maybe.
Audio listeners, imagine Eric just holding a ball up to just his ear.
Yeah, watch Giolito, watch Shane Bieber. That's how I don't like that. It just has me. I was a pitcher growing up, so I feel my elbow anytime I think about it. Anyway, battery mate for a pitcher, Kyle Teel, has started his rehab assignment, going 2 for 3 with a homer. Now, we talked a little bit about catcher, if I'm not mistaken, a week or two ago. And it was surprisingly shallow relative to how deep we thought it was going to be coming into the season. And Kyle Teel, catcher for the White Sox, coming back from multiple injuries, had the knee sprain on a swing a couple weeks ago. Kyle Teel looked very good as a rookie last year and working his way back. There's possibly some owners that need catching help for their teams. What do you think of Kyle Teel?
I've liked Kyle Teel for a while. He is a guy I think that hits really well and can absolutely play in the White Sox lineup as a catcher. And a White Sox lineup that's going to get a lot of RBI, which we haven't said in several years, but they've been great, genuinely great. I like him a lot, but this is now the thing about shallow leagues where, especially if you're in a 1-catcher shallow league, right? Which is most of them, but that's besides the point. Is Kyle Teel a top 12 catcher? That's the really tricky thing where I think he's probably on the outside looking in on that. And that's already pretty down there on the pecking order. So this is, I think, someone you monitor if they are immediately starting to do pretty well. Yeah. But I'm not hunting on the waiver wire for Kyle Teel the second he comes on or anything like that. It's just it's a guy.
Cool.
Guys, keep in mind, it's the weird thing about the shallows, right? We have to not necessarily just focus on the margins and just who's the great players?
Yeah, exactly. Kyle Teel would have been my Cal Raleigh replacement. In fact, when Kyle Raleigh hit the injured list, I picked up Kyle Teel because it was looking like he was going to be activated soon thereafter, and then he got hurt. So just I hope, for you listeners out there that kind of puts in perspective what Kyle Teel is in shallower type formats. Is he is an injury replacement because as Carson said so well, he's not really a top 12 catcher. Not yet. Has the potential for it, though. All right, so when we come back, it's going to still be the captain's report because this is a long captain's report today, but we're going to talk performances. So that was injuries and returns, and now we're going to talk about some recent performances, some standouts over the last week. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Shallows. That's Carson Picard. I'm Eric Hendrickson, and this is still the captain's report, but we just talked about injuries and returns, and now we're going to talk about some performances over the last week that have been really stand out. And let's start off with someone who's driven fantasy managers nuts this year with his ebbs and flows of good and bad. But last night was an absolute gem from Kyle Bradish. I believe he's 7 2/3, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 2 walks, and a career high 12 strikeouts. He gave up 10 earned runs in 8 innings in his previous 2 starts. Carson, what are we doing with Kyle Bradish? Is he finally back? Is this the pitcher we were promised?
So there's 2 things that I think are really worth talking about here. Number 1 is the conditions of the game. This is at Seattle. This is it's been a weird year for Seattle and their lineups and everything like that. But it's also a start where Bradish, like if you look at the pitch locations, and I have it pulled up on my other screen here just to make sure I have everything correct. The locations here are such that it is getting a lot of whiffs. And I think Seattle is I don't have this exactly in front of me. Seattle's a pretty aggressive lineup, right? They've got Julio, they've got a Rosarena, they've got Naylor especially. They've got a lot of guys that are really aggressive. So a guy like Bradish, I think, does especially well. I mean, you look at the curveball whiffs here. I mean, they just were swinging at it, and so many of these locations are hitting the plate. I mean, these are a lot of pitches that on a stingier lineup is going to be a little tricky, and those counts are going to get more difficult, and they're not able to gain strikes and get everything. That being said, you look at the pitches themselves and what they were doing. Bradish's slider has been one of the best breaking balls in baseball in terms of what it does out of the hand, and it has been that for years. But the curveball, I mean, you've mentioned it here on the scripts, is great. I mean, it's erratic right now. These locations are kind of bizarre, but it's moving like crazy.
Yeah. It had a negative 15.7 inch, so just about negative 16 inches of IVB. That just the drop on that curveball yesterday was just wild. Absolutely wild. I think he just carved up Seattle with that curveball. Because if you look at the card in general, it's not overly impressive where you would expect 7 2/3, 12 strikeouts, to be honest. It's not. Which is why he got an A+ in the box score and basically a C+ in PLV. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Kyle Bradish long term, just because he's been so good up until these last 2 months in his career. So, I still think he's going to figure it out. Walks have been the issue. As long as he can rein those in, I believe he's very hard to hit. He's very hard to hit.
He's really hard to hit. This is something I feel like there's mechanically there's command issues right now.
Yeah, exactly.
The ball's coming out of, and it's hard to do when you have pitches that move as much as Bradish's do, where it's just hard to command those, right?
Yep. We're seeing that with Nolan McLean too, I think.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So Nolan McLean actually just had like one of his better starts recently, and he had significantly less movement on all of his pitches. It was like 4 inches less movement on just about everything.
Sometimes I feel like that can work for a pitcher's benefit. If they're able to hit their spots, it doesn't need to start from the third baseline, you know?
Yeah. Nolan McLean's got the pitching ninja GIF worthy movement on his pitches. And another guy who also has that same sort of movement on his pitches that, man, the Cardinals might just be working their devil magic here again. Dustin May. Look out, Christopher Sanchez. 15 consecutive scoreless innings.
I don't think we're quite there yet, but
no, we're close. Reverse those numbers. 15 consecutive scoreless innings. If you take out the first 2 starts of the year, he has an ERA of 2.54. And I realize, that's just arbitrary, but April is weird.
Sure.
April, March, if one of the starts was in March, it's cold, it's rainy, it's St. Louis. Carson, is Dustin May legit?
I don't. Here's the thing with May that is always going to be a little confounding. He doesn't get that many strikeouts. That's just not his thing. He's a sinker kind of guy, so he gets a lot of weak contact. With May, a couple things stand out to me. he has not been crushed by the long ball. Historically, that has hurt him a lot. And that's something that if you're looking at year to year, what's changing? Is there an approach change with May that may, no pun intended, that may change the home run ratios, right? This happened with Sonny Gray a few years ago. I remember he barely allowed any home runs in Minnesota, and did anything really substantially change year into year out? No, not really. On the next year, he got hit a lot more in St. Louis. I think this is something similar here in the fact that like this is probably going to come back to bite him. I think this is a really hot stretch, but do I think Dustin May is back to being relevant even in Shaw leagues? Yes, but I think he's on the tail end of the rotation, so to speak.
Really low home run to fly ball ratio from Dustin May this year, 6.1%. Ground ball rate is not like over 50. It's 46, which is good, but I would expect a higher home run to fly ball ratio with that sort of ground ball rate. And just from a pitcher like him in general, I did not realize he was 6'6". He's a big guy.
There's so many pitchers that are just crazy tall.
I know, yeah. I am 6'4" myself, so when I see somebody taller than me, it's like, whoa. Anyway, yeah, Dustin May's been very good. Very hard to ignore what he's doing right now. He's worth an ad, in my opinion. All year, including those first 2 games, he's only had 3 games where he's given up more than 3 earned runs, which is pretty wild. So he's been very good. If for some reason he's out there, I would pick him up. There's probably a pitcher that, if you have, let's say, Davis Martin. Are you swapping Davis Martin for Dustin May, Carson? I know how you feel about Davis Martin.
Yeah. Like I would. I would. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like you probably try to play the values game and see if you can get something out of it. But straight up, like,
of course,
would you hot swap them? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Davis Martin has run into regression, and one of my favorite phrases, and I came up with it, and that's why it's a favorite of mine. So I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one, is regression comes for us all. Whether that's good or bad, regression comes for us all. And it is coming for Davis Martin right now. He's given up 9 runs, 8 hits, 3 walks, and 3 1/3 innings against the Yankees this past Tuesday. And it's really been more bad than good lately. Has the clock run out on 29-year-old Davis Martin? Let's not forget.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing where, again, we're talking about what has substantially changed year in, year out. And for Davis Martin, he has cut down on the walks and increased the strikeouts. But I think from a pitch-by-pitch perspective, I don't think too much has changed. And perhaps I'm missing something. Perhaps he's approaching different counts in different ways and changing up his pitch mix in that way. But from a pitch modeling standpoint, everything seems to be pointing in the same direction, that like it's still the Davis Martin from the last 2 years, which has not been particularly impressive. And for certainly, I don't think he's a sub-3 ERA pitcher.
Oh, no, absolutely.
This is a guy that has, I think if you're a little bullish on Martin, like a 3.8 ERA sort of vibes. And he is way overperforming that.
Yeah. If you can get anything for Davis Martin at this point, I would try to. If not, I think you're perfectly fine dropping him. You know who was dropped in one of my leagues and I couldn't believe it? Was Framber Valdez.
Actually savvy.
Well, he went out and had maybe his best start of the season in his last start, following a bad start. But before that one was a good start, and before that one was a bad start, and before that one was a good start. For some reason, he's alternating good and bad starts, and I can't figure this out other than that's baseball, Susan. And, with a guy with his track record, I would imagine that he would get it together at some point, Carson, but you just said it was a savvy drop. Do tell.
Framber Valdez is one of those guys that lives and dies by the ground ball, and they're not going to do very much else besides get the out on the ground. And I like Detroit for that, but nothing else with Framber Valdez has really been working. He's a guy that doesn't have, he's not he lost a lot of base runners. He just kind of always has. The walk rate's always been kept up, the high whip. And I think this year he's allowing too much hard contact for this approach to really work. And when you're running these extremely high ground ball rates, I mean, sometimes it needs to be like 60% or more for it to like truly work if you're not offering too much elsewhere. I mean, Logan Webb's the kind of guy that pushes 60%. And the difference between Webb and Valdez is Valdez right now sitting at like 51. I mean, that's the kind of thing. And there's a lot of things about Valdez that are not very encouraging. He's not gone very deep into starts this year. He'll get you into the 6th inning. He has pitched into the 7th only a couple times this year. And that's for that hurts for a guy that's not going to get a lot of Ks. That's not going to that's not going to be very productive outside of maybe some earned runs. And then your ratios are kind of screwed up because the run prevention hasn't been there.
Yeah, down year for Framber. Maybe he's trying to live up to the contract that he signed or just getting used to Detroit. But I'll never forget when he hit his own catcher with a pitch.
I was just about to say, like, that's another thing. Like, I'm never going to be that upset with dropping Framber Valdez because he's got a temper, man.
Yeah, he does. He does. Man, he just crossed up his catcher on purpose. So rude. Anyway, Gerrit Cole's swing strike rate is at 7%. Have you noticed that? That's not good.
It's not good. Cole's a little weird because right now he is changing the way he's not Astros Cole by any stretch. So this is a kind of version of Gerrit Cole that's more contact focused, weak contact focused. I don't know. I think jury's still out on what to expect from Gerrit Cole. He's only made how many starts coming back, right?
Yeah, like a handful, if that.
A couple, a few. So he's been doing all right. I don't know, but
yeah, results are there. The numbers, the ERA indicators are not good. If you check those out, I think they're all about 2 runs higher than his current ERA. But limited sample size. That's like looking at a pitcher on April 10th and going, hey, look at their expected stats. Well, they threw 10 innings or whatever. So you can't really. You got to give Cole, I think, a pitcher of his caliber, especially a little bit of time. That being said, would you try and sell high on Gerrit Cole?
If I can get on an exit ramp for something more steady, I think so. Cole is still so many variables going on right now. There's so much variance. If I could, straight up, would you trade Gerrit Cole for Ryan Weathers?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No. Would you trade Gerrit Cole for Bryce Miller?
Yeah.
Even with Seattle doing whatever they're going to do until the All-Star break. Did you hear about that?
I did. I've heard. I just simply believe that Miller is going. I think he is. If he continues to pitch the way he does, they're going to have to start him. Yeah, performance will filter that out.
Yes, absolutely. All right,
I'll deal with Seattle Marinersing.
They have to make a trade. I understand they have a lot of depth at starting pitching at the major league level, but I feel like they need to make a trade.
Something you can't.
Yeah, it's untapped. Plus, they have 2 of the best pitching prospects in baseball in the minors. It's like that front office knows how to evaluate pitching. I'll tell you that much. All right, 2 more points here in the captain's report. A super long captain's report, the longest ever, some will say. All right, I just wanted to do this, Carson, because he's just been stupid good. It's been dumb how silly this is. He went 0 for 5 today, but I don't even care. Shout out Byron Buxton. All right.
Yeah.
But 36 RBIs on 23 home runs is awful.
He is the leadoff hitter. Give him a break.
Put him at the 3-hole.
Because he steals bases.
I want more RBIs from a guy with 23 home runs.
Yeah. Shohei owners from last year are echoing that. He's third in home runs. How about that?
Yeah, pretty wild, especially for a guy who in the first 3 weeks of the season was terrible coming off of the World Baseball Classic. He has just been so good. It's everything you could have hoped for and more, I'm sure.
That guy.
Yeah. All right, and not a major league performance, but we couldn't do this captain's report without mentioning Joshua Baez of the St. Louis Cardinals had not one, not two, not three, not four. No, he did have four. He had 4 home runs in a game. My goodness. What? 4 home runs in a game? That's absurd. So the question here is, are you taking, let's say you don't have like a minor league NA spot or anything. Are you stashing him on your bench?
No, I can't do that. I triple A 3 homer game rocks, or 4 homer game rocks. But as crazy as that is, I think I have to pump the brakes on that. For if I have like 4 bench spots or something like that, am I really taking that? Oh, you're asking a lot from me there, Eric. I don't know.
Okay, let's look at this. He is, according to MLB.com, he is the 64th ranked prospect in baseball. So not even top 10,
right?
Not top 20, not top 50, 64. He's had contact issues in the minor leagues, a lot of contact issues with a really high K rate. He's gotten it kind of in check right now. But the man has 23 home runs already at AAA. Call him up, St. Louis. See what you got at least.
Oh, AAA is hard to evaluate sometimes with hitting. I mean, like I said, we've seen this with Oakland, the team formerly known as Oakland.
Yeah, I know, but we'll give him his flowers. 4 homers in 1 game is pretty cool. I don't remember the last time a major leaguer did that. I'd be really interested to find that out.
Suarez last year.
Oh, man, that's not as cool. I thought it'd be longer ago than that.
It was. It
was
Eugenio. Yeah.
Maybe he got himself going with a 2 homer game earlier this week as well.
I know Josh Hamilton did one like 10 years ago.
Were there any in between? Because then that's what I was hoping for.
I know there's been a few. I forget.
It's still really cool. 4 homer game. It can't have been done that often, you know? It's like, to me, it's got to be probably as rare as like a triple play or, you know, a no-hitter or something. It's got to be.
Something, definitely. Yeah, probably around those. Or probably a little rarer than a no-hitter. I don't know. This is something we will look up in the break.
Yeah, we will. And speaking of break, we're going to take that right now. When we come back, it'll be from the crew, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Shallows. That's Carson. I'm Eric. And in the break, Carson looked up the most recent 4 homer games, how many there have been in baseball history. And that number was 21, which isn't that crazy. But what's fun is the list of names who have done it. So, Carson, tell us. 4 homers in a single MLB game.
Yeah, this will be something I'll run through really quick. Kyle Schwarber is the most recent. It was my mistake. He did it on August 28th of last year. Nick Kurtz, in that legendary game he had on July 25th last year, also hit 4. It is a list that surprisingly goes across many different eras, and it seems to sort of come in bunches. For instance, Lou Gehrig did it on June 3rd, 1932. Hall of Famers Gil Hodges, Chuck Klein, Willie Mays, and Mike Schmidt have all done it. And a couple other names to mention: Josh Hamilton, Carlos Delgado, Mike Cameron, Sean Green, JD Martinez in 2017. How old do you think the first instance of a 4-homer game was? When do you think the first 4-homer game was?
I'm going to say 1898.
You are really close. You're really close. 1894.
Oh, dang. Nice. Wow.
And Bobby Lau for the Boston Bean Eaters.
That's a fun name.
Thank you, baseball.
Anyway. What was really crazy, and you didn't say his name just now, but you told me before we came back from break, is one of these was not like the other, and that is Scooter Gennett had a 4-homer game. And if you remember who Scooter Gennett is, there's a reason why you've forgotten who he is, because he was not a fantasy player worth rostering for much of his career.
87 career home runs for Scooter Gennett.
Wow.
Game on 1 game.
That's crazy.
That's baseball.
Yeah, that's baseball. Love it. All right, so we're back, and this is from the crew. Thanks for looking that up, Carson, by the way. That was a lot of fun, finding out those little details. This is from the crew. A few weeks ago, we got a question from Little Piranha on Discord, on the Pitcher List Discord. Subscribe to PL Plus, and you get access to the Pitcher List Discord. where you can message Carson, myself, and all the other staff members and join a really awesome community. So the question from Little Piranha was, where do you stand on benching hitters and taking a 0 in daily head-to-head category leagues? In a bad pitcher matchup, let's say against somebody like Paul Skeens, if I bench my hitters, I have no chance at counting stats that day, which is 4 of the 5 categories. But then again, the ratios probably don't get hurt as much. So Carson, what's your opinion on this?
There's like 3 or 4 pitchers max you can do this for. If I have hitters and I'm facing Jacob Mizorowski right now, I think you can totally bench him. That's a different thing. If it's Sanchez, if it is Schlittler, if it is Skeens, those guys, and even Skeens, like maybe he's been weird this year, but generally, no, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, especially in leagues like this where you're going to have a lot of your top hitters going, those are the guys you expect to produce. And ultimately, it's the thing about baseball where like the difference between 25% getting a hit and 30% is, all the margins are there. So it's so marginal, honestly, on a single day basis.
Yeah.
That for the vast majority, I mean, it doesn't really matter, I think, that much if you're going against Joe Ryan or if you're going against Sonny Gray. Like, I think you start him absolutely. And the difference there between those guys and from, your Jacob deGroms and your Chase Burns, kind of that like 8 to 15 tier. Yeah, whatever. I'd start them there. Trust the talent's going to do it.
I am never a fan of sitting players in a situation like that unless I can fill the spot with somebody else. And generally in daily head-to-head category leagues, especially the ones I play in, you don't roster a deep bench of hitters. So to sit a bunch, let's say you have like 3 Cubs, right? And they're going against Skeens. To sit a bunch, 3 of your hitters, and you only have, let's say, 1 bench hitter to replace one of those 2. I'm not going to take the 0 in the categories for the day. Sure, my batting average, my OPS, my slugging percentage, whatever categories that you have for hitting that are ratio based may take a hit that one day. But then again, they might not. And also, pitchers don't work that deep into games all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And their bullpens still exist for those rosters, for those teams. Like the Pirates bullpen is still a thing. Right. So I wouldn't sit off the basis of, okay, maybe they go 0 for 2 against the starter. It's just, maybe they don't. Maybe they go 1 for 2. Maybe they go 2 for 2. If they go 0 for 2, like, so what? It's a small amount of count of ratio stat in the scope of a week. So I wouldn't really ever do that again, unless you have replacements for all of them. And I don't think you're ever really rostering that many players on one team either. I made that mistake one time. Don't do it. But I mean, the Atlanta Braves were really good that year, so it was really hard not to.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we have a question from Nate Schwartz on Discord. What are you doing with Trea Turner and Vlad Guerrero Jr.? Great question. Great question. When you wrote this on here, I was like, yeah. What are we doing with them, Carson?
Nate, host of the Approach Angle podcast and manager, all around swell guy, fellow Midwesterner. Nate, what we are doing with Trea Turner is we are selling him for pennies on the dollar. It is a bank run on Trea Turner. Listen, he's not good. And this is the type of, I think next episode we should talk about this, of like, what are our mid-season evaluations and cutting. And we talked about this a little bit, but cutting bail on some guys and just what are we doing, how to project going forward, talent versus production so far. Turner obviously really talented. Turner obviously not hitting like he's talented. He is not doing well at all. The Phillies have kind of been mediocre this year. I just think in a shallow league, you can do better than Trea Turner. And I just think you should see if you can get something else, something for him, whether that's a really boomer bust pitcher whether that's an injured, I mean, whether it's a Trea Turner for Spencer Schwellenbach.
I like it.
Like a guy who's injured could come back and be really good. I mean, I think that's a lure, I think, or even as a package deal, that could be a nice thing you could get. I would love that.
Would you trade Trea Turner for Peyton Tolley?
100%. With my eyes closed.
I saw, actually, it's really interesting that Trea Turner was one of the players that Nate is asking about, because I saw a comparison video of Trea Turner swinging in 2021 on the Dodgers and his swing now. Now, granted, that's 5 years. He was in his 20s then. Now he's in his 30s. But there is a noticeable mechanical change in his body positioning and his swing path. Like, it is concerning that has not been figured out or fixed. I would assume that the Phillies have figured this out. Why it's not fixed is, I think, the biggest problem. Is he hurt? Can he not fix it? Does he have to swing like this now? I don't know. But it's not good. I'll tell you that much. So I agree with you. Sell on Trea Turner. All right, what about the other half of this question? Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Can that just be my answer?
Sure.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is a really good hitter that is not hitting home runs, and I think he will hit home runs. And I think this is actually now. Usually, I like to avoid the sunk cost fallacy as much as possible, but I think you kind of have to at this point. I think he's good. I think anything you get for Vlad Guerrero Jr., I don't think is going to be better than second half Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Oh, okay. So we're thinking there's a first and second half Vlad going on.
I think there will be this year. I think you're gonna end the year. Well, what is he even doing right now? Like, I know it's not great, but I know it's also not hideous.
You know what's crazy? For a player like him, I almost don't care. Because I just know at the end of the season, he'll be between this number, and his batting average will be between A and B, and he'll be totally fine. He may not be worth the draft price, but he's not going to hurt your team.
That's pretty much where I'm at. Now, the RBI is hideous. Oh, my God. But he's at 29 RBI this year. That's astounding. But
4 homers.
Yeah. But it's going to happen. It's got to happen.
In fact, actually, Carson, he homered today.
I realized. Yep. He
Okay.
did. So
yeah.
I just simply believe, I think he'll get to, you know what? I think he'll get to 20. I think he'll get to 20 home runs.
I think he'll get to 20 as well. I agree.
And I think if it'll be a poor value, I likely taking him in the second round, but I don't think that you're going to sell him now and get a better return on investment.
Yeah, you're not. He's just a hold. You got to kind of just see it through, I think, unless he gets scorching hot, which is entirely possible, because look at his former teammate, Bo Bichette, has 6 consecutive, coming into today, Thursday, June 18th, has 6 consecutive multi-hit games. He's been the number 1 player in fantasy over the last 7 days.
Yeah, it's my bad.
Not throwing that in your face, I promise. It's just... Look what can happen with players with talent. In a week, it can turn around and their value changes completely.
Yep.
So even at this point in the season. So Trea Turner was up there, but nothing in his profile says that he's going to turn it around. Vlad, on the other hand, the opposite. Looks like he could at least return something in the second half. That's not going to be a total lost year for him. All right. Thanks, Nate, for the question. Next up, we've got Josh, my co-host on my other podcast, the Talking Fantasy Baseball podcast. He texted me a question today, and he asked, Dustin May and Noah Cameron have put together respectable campaigns so far this season. How much of their performance is just good luck versus meaningful skill change? Basically, are they developing into more than just waiver wire fodder? And we talked about Dustin May a little bit earlier in the show. So, Carson, are they rosterable pitchers, Noah Cameron and Dustin May, or are they streamers as waiver wire fodder?
I think this is a glorified streamer, meaning I think this is someone you can keep rostered and use against weaker lineups. This is the kind of pitcher I don't know if Nick has an official term for this. I would say I maybe I guess Holly is the closest to it. Holly, a slightly elevated Toby. I don't know exactly, but basically bench them against the Dodgers kind of pitcher. Bench them against the Dodgers, the Yankees, that top 6 or 8, 6, 7, 8 lineups. Bench them against those guys, and against everyone else, your AL Central teams, they'll probably do just fine. As for how much of their performance is good luck versus meaningful skill changes, I'm just gonna say like 65% of it is probably luck.
Wow.
I think a lot of their work, I think there's meaningful stuff here, but again, like with May, there's some stuff that's changed, but I don't think it's that drastic, truly. I think he's gotten away with some stuff, and I generally think for a guy that's not a ground baller, I think you need a lot more whiffs than May is getting. I know he's ground ball like adjacent, but he's not Logan Webb.
Right.
He's not Christopher Sanchez. He's not Framber Valdez. So for those guys, you can kind of write off the lack of whiffs. For Dustin May, I don't think you can totally do that. Now for Noah Cameron, I think this is a lot of luck, and he's overperforming a lot of things. He's not bad by any stretch, but there is such a high chance he just gets absolutely rocked in 3 days, and then that ERA goes up, and we wouldn't be talking about him.
Yeah, I think Noah Cameron in particular has a very small margin of error. He seems very dependent on the changeup, and that's it. I'm not sure. I don't think there's much upside there. And I think just like a hitter, like, Willie Castro, we've reached the Willie Castro part of the season where everyone wants to go add Willie Castro. Okay. And in 2 weeks, you're going to drop him. Okay. It's just, this happens every year. And so I think Noah Cameron just got hot. Like, professional baseball players can get hot. And Willie Castro does that on a yearly basis. And people think, oh, it's going to be different. Well, it's not. Spoiler alert. I think the same thing here with Noah Cameron. He just was hot. He got hit hard in his last outing. Had a good string of, I think, 3 or 4 starts in a row. Dustin May, to me, is more interesting, but I don't think there's been any meaningful change in Noah Cameron's profile. And maybe there's just been just enough for Dustin May to be relevant, but he also could just be super hot for a while. It's tough with a pitcher like Dustin May's track record. You have to be very cautiously optimistic, but the talent level and the pedigree that he has, it's like, is he finally putting it together? Because maybe it took him a while to get over the elbow injuries that he's had. I don't know. It's really tough, and that's why I think for somebody like May, you ride the hot hand, and for somebody like Noah Cameron, be very careful and stream against the obvious ones is what I would say for him. Yeah, that does it for From the Crew. If you have any questions, you can hit us up on Discord, on social media. That's at Carson Picard on Blue Sky for Carson. I'm Eric Hinn on Blue Sky and Twitter. That's Eric with a K. And you can email the show at theshallowspod@gmail.com if you have a question, and we will answer it right here next time we do From the Crew. When we come back, it's a fun new segment called Let's Go Fishing Bullpen Edition. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Shallows. That's Carson Picard. I'm Eric Henriksen. And this is Let's Go Fishing Bullpen Edition. So seemingly out of nowhere, I don't know if you noticed this because, I don't think he's gotten many saves. He's got 3 saves. I don't remember the last time he got one. Daniel Palencia went on the IL with an elbow issue. That could have been in the captain's report, but it was so long, so he left it for here. He went on the IL with an elbow issue, seemingly out of nowhere. He only has 3 saves in a weird occurrence of that's baseball. But if you need a relief pitcher replacement for whatever reason to replace those 3 saves that he's gotten you over the 2 months, who should you go fishing for out of these potential sources of saves? Let's start with the A's. Is Elvis Alvarado the guy? 15% rostered.
Elvis Alvarado. Okay, first of all, I just want to say Elvis Alvarado got a save in Las Vegas, and that made me very happy. But is he the option for the A's? Not really. He's fine and has been pretty good and maybe even worth adding in a deeper league. But I think in the shallows, they run this bullpen by committee that I just, for the life of me, I can't figure out. Every single time I do the First Pitch podcast on the weekends and I look at who got the saves for the A's, it's someone different. And it's Hogan Harris a lot of the time for some reason. And I just don't really know what to do with it. I think if you're really hunting for saves, I think Alvarado is a nice, I think he's a nice arm. Is he dependable at all? Absolutely not in this situation.
No, just remember he has a 5.4 ERA on the season, if I'm not mistaken. He's been very good since coming back from either injury or the minor leagues. I can't remember which one. Forgive me for that. Don't at me, please. And so, yeah, he's been very good. Lots of strikeouts. But I think he's given up 1 run. Take a flyer. If he doesn't work out, cast him back into the sea. All right, moving on to the Royals. Is Alex Lange the guy? He is 22% roster. By the way, these roster rates are coming from Yahoo, by the way. So is Alex Lange the guy?
For Kansas City, I think like by de facto, yeah. I think he had de facto is Kansas City does pick a closer and run with them, and they will run them into the ground if necessary. So yes. I don't like it, but if you need the saves, I'm going to say yes. I think they will use him, and you won't get that many opportunities because the Royals don't have that many save opportunities, and Lange isn't that effective of a reliever in general. But yeah, he's going to be their closer.
This segment can really be called "How Desperate Are You?"
Yeah, really.
Right. All right. Next up, we have the Brewers. Okay, this one's a little less desperate dependent because the Brewers are good, and both these pitchers are pretty good. Who's the guy between Trevor Megill and Abner Uribe? 72% owned for Trevor Megill, 57% for Abner Uribe.
The answer here is actually Aroldis Chapman, but that's a couple of weeks in advance.
See how else the Brewers are going to fleece the Red Sox.
It is Trevor Megill for now. It is. And I think it's going to stay that way, although it's kind of a touch and go, I think. I think they're going to stick with Megill for a while.
Yeah.
I think out of that. But I think, you're totally fine rostering Uribe.
Yeah, I think Uribe was the guy until he did that sign with his hands to the opposing dugout that the manager...
More than just his hands.
Yep. We cannot. That's about as far as we're going to go in alluding to what it is. The manager, his own manager, didn't like it, got suspended for a game, and he kind of lost the edge there in closing for Milwaukee. McGill's been good other than like a 3-game stretch where he was terrible. So I don't really see any issue here. But McGill does have an injury history with his arm, throws very hard.
Has one coming into this year.
Right, exactly. So just be aware, Uribe, one of the better handcuffs, to borrow a fantasy football term. But I agree with you. I think it is McGill. All right, next up, your Twins. Is Yoendrys Gomez the guy? Because we didn't know what the heck was going on with that bullpen for a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to say we still don't. The Twins just... Right now, what they've done this year is they've thrown a million things at the wall, and some things have stuck, and some things have stuck the wall. And like some of my posters I hung up in college, they stuck up on the wall for about 3 days, and then they fell off, never to be hung up again. Yoendrys Gomez has been pretty good for the Twins. He does not have anything going well under the hood, and I don't believe, honestly, I think if there's anyone for the Twins, it's Andrew Morris. I feel like he's been getting a lot of opportunities, and that's semi-anecdotal, but I know he has. If there's anyone on the Twins, I think it's Morris. He seems to be used in high leverage spots a lot. Do you want to just Gomez the guy? No, I don't think the Twins have a guy.
Yeah, Gomez is kind of getting the saves right now-ish. But I don't trust it. Like if he's available in your league, because his roster rate here, 22%. If he's available in your league, I would not be surprised if you added him and he immediately destroys your ratios.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I would rather not get the saves in that particular situation. All right, over to the Reds. While Emilio Pagan is working his way back, Has Santillan worked his way back into the good graces of Tito Francona? 9% rostered.
I hate the Reds bullpen.
Yeah.
That's a little mean, but I kind of
agree.
hate the Reds bullpen.
It's not great.
The short answer is yes, just because they've got nothing else. Chase Petty, Brock Burke,
TJ Antone, not great. Not great, Bob. Santillan did say that he watched tape of him from 2 years ago himself and found a mechanical flaw, and since then he hasn't given up a run, so maybe there's something there. But then again, I thought Jeff Hoffman was going to do the thing he said he was going to do, and he hasn't done the thing that he said he was going to do, and he hasn't been very good, although recently he's been decent in a setup role.
Jeff Hoffman needs to be better. Like, just statistically, it is impossible for not to be that. Anyway, in the month, the last, let's just point this up here real quick. The last 6 appearances for Santillan, he hasn't allowed a run. It's been better lately. How much stock you want to put into that? That's up to you.
Yeah, I'll put it to you this way. I play in multiple saves plus holds league, and I am not adding him back. Let's put it that way. All right, last up on the list here are the Nationals, Gus Varland and Clayton Bieber, 4% and 9% rostered respectively. Before I say who's the closer, does it even matter?
Hopefully not. If these are the margins, I'll say I think it's Clayton Bieber if it's going to be anyone. Varland's I was pretty decent for a few weeks there and then has kind of fallen off a cliff. I don't think there's anyone else in the Nats bullpen that is really worth talking about for the purposes of the show. So I think it's Bieber.
Yeah. Of all the guys on this list, it's the Brewers pitchers that I would want to roster. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to take the L and not pick up a closer there. Or actually, it might be a W because I might save my ratios quite a bit. And like I said at the beginning of this segment, Palencia has 3 saves. You're not really losing anything if you were rostering him as a closer. You could pick up a good relief pitcher like Grant Taylor, pick up a relief pitcher that's racking up the strikeouts in a setup role, and he will replace exactly what you've gotten from Daniel Palencia so far this year. And by the way, that was Gus Varland, not Louis Varland, who's just been straight up incredible still. And he's keeping pace with Mason Miller, man. He's doing it. I know I asked you a couple weeks ago. I would still rather have Mason Miller, but he's keeping pace. He's doing great. Love it. All right. We're going to wrap it up right there. We'll be back next Friday with a brand new episode. To make sure you never miss an episode, please subscribe. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have a question for us, like I said before, we will answer it right here on the pod. Reach out on social media. Leave a comment on YouTube. Hit us up on the PL Discord or email us at theshallowspod@gmail.com.
Long episode.
A lot. Yeah, this is a long one. It's been a lot today. A lot of talking. Had a lot of meetings at my regular job. So I'm glad to wrap it up right here. He's Carson Picard, at Carson Picard on Blue Sky. I'm Eric Henriksen, at Eric Hin on Blue Sky and Twitter. That's Eric with a K. Reminding you that murky waters are fine if you know how to swim. But I will say this, they're not fine if you have to go pick up any of those bullpen options. Okay? See you next time on The Shallows.
Take care, y'all.